What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week, where we deep dive into a comic character. We do the badass moments, the top covers, the best reading stories, and everything you need to know about this character. And thanks to Gary, and of course the wonderful tile that was just shown, we are covering Storm herself tonight. Myself, I am Sal the Slab Guy. I'm always on the Codex Station, but when I'm not on Codex, you can find me on Sal's Comic Hunter on YouTube, and also the Slab Guy 77 on Instagram. With me today is my usual. Oh, there we go. There's my tag. There's my.
Getting there.
He's getting there.
Go!
Touchdown! Touchdown! Go to Sal's Comic Corner. Get a touchdown. There you go.
Way to go. Good job.
Oh, God damn it, there's a flag. Sorry,
That's all right. That's all right.
Laundry on the field. Watching this episode, I'm watching the Ravens-Bengals game at the same time we're doing this, so I will try and keep my reactions to a minimum.
Okay. Well, we know that's impossible because of
what just happened. Yeah, no promises. No promises. We'll just breeze by Dan the Man Kelly, where you can find on Instagram. Dan, why don't you go ahead and tell us? Give us your 411.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art, where I post art and music and not reactions like this to the Ravens getting a 60-yard pass play called back by a penalty.
He's very passionate about Storm, ladies and gentlemen. Very passionate.
Yes.
Very.
Yeah, so check me out on there. Go give me a follow. I just passed 800 and I'm working my way to 1,000. So help me out.
1K for DK.
Check out what this guy has got going on because it's pretty awesome, and he's going to tell you about it right here and right now.
All right. Thank you for having me. I am a proud co-owner of Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Come see us every Wednesday. We get them injections right here in the veins, baby. Right here in the veins. Build them muscles up. We get that 4-color ink. Come see us. Come get your comics. I'll be glad to talk with you. We'd love to have you in our store. We also do a Facebook Live show the first 3 Thursdays of every month. Just got done with one tonight. So the first Thursday is our preview show. We talk about new books. Second and third Thursdays, we have our Grumpy Old Nerd show, where we talk about a bunch of ridiculous stuff. Tonight, we had a Thanksgiving meal draft. So we drafted our favorite Thanksgiving meal accessories for our Thanksgiving meal. And my best friend Mike had the first pick and took stuffing, and that ruined my whole Thanksgiving meal.
So, I think you did very well, though.
I did very well. So it went around in serpentine fashion. So Rob picked turkey on his, and I had the third pick. So I had the third and fourth picks. I took the other two meat. I took the other turkey, and I took the roast beef, and then I had another meat all the way down later. So I had roast beef, roast turkey, and glazed ham. So Mike had no meat for his, so he's having a vegetarian. After he took the stuffing, it was vendetta time. So so Rob and I were mad at him. So he had to have a vegetarian meal. So at the end of it, it was pretty funny to see what we came up with. And Sal gave me affirmation by saying my meal was the best. My meal clogged the most arteries. It was awesome.
Yes, it was.
Now, and the beans are. I missed the I missed the show because I was doing finishing up an interview. Did you count gravy separate from mashed potatoes and gravy, or is gravy its own thing?
Gravy was its own category. Mike took the gravy so Rob wouldn't have gravy on his mashed potatoes.
Wow.
It was cutthroat. It was a cutthroat Thanksgiving draft episode.
So what were the final items taken where it was like, I got to take something, I might as well take this? We had one item left over at the end. That we had 31 items on there. Nobody wanted the damn Brussels sprouts, and I don't blame them. So Brussels sprouts are so good.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Okay,
garlic, some butter.
This is the last 3 to. You just were at the wrong end of a 3-1 vote. You're at the wrong end again. Brussels sprouts are so wrong. You are so wrong for liking them.
Oh, wait, man. You put some bacon in there with some garlic, some salt and pepper, a lot of butter.
Listen, you put them between Salma Hayek's thighs, and I still ain't eating them.
All of this has to do with the X-Men, ladies and gentlemen. Every bit of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, eventually we'll get to the comic characters.
Okay. So
we're still we're in the We're in the
But I
post-break show,
digress.
right?
But I digress. So also, we are all contributors on Comic Character of the Day, the site founded by our good buddy Archduke Kevy, and we all are acquainted through that site. I'll post the cover of the day. Dan posts random panels of the day, questions of the day. Sal is always commenting on our stuff, and Tim, besides having that golden voice of his, he also has these eyes that watch what we do, and he sees and he approves. He is the watcher and the talker. He is both. He is multifaceted. Tim the Terrible.
He is hauling oats.
Damn.
He is Hall and Oats
I
and a
love
bag of
that.
chips.
I love it.
He's Hall and
Simon.
Oats and a bag of chips.
I am Simon and Garfunkel, ladies and gentlemen. And
Simon
speaking-
and Schuster.
There you go.
Sonny and
speaking-
Cher. Sonny and Cher.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to find us on all the socials. All you got to do is type in at the CODEX station. That is where we will be. Your favorite social media platforms and where we're live streaming right now. Make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and follow so that way you don't miss awesome content like this and Dan's super reactions every time the Bengals get a touchdown. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us on thecodexstation.com for all your Codex needs. Head over there to get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. The site's been revamped, and it looks amazing. And go check it out and tell Sal.
Thanks to that guy.
That's
there.
right.
No problem. I love
And
doing it.
now, our host with the most, our host with the slabs, our host who gets this ball a rolling. Gary, I cannot do it anywhere near as good as you.
No,
It's
you
all right.
got you're
It's a good
great,
attempt.
brother.
It was a
Sal
good-
the
it was a
slab
good attempt.
guy.
All right, guys. So look, we're covering Storm Oro Monroe. I can't even talk tonight. But Dan's got all our information on this character. So Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
All right. Well,
You said kickoff, and he's watching a football game. Wrong.
Yeah,
We gotta
that's
get
the
him
worst.
signed off
Yeah.
that.
I can
Why don't you
multitask.
turn that page, Dan, and tell us the intro?
Well, Storm made her first appearance in Giant Size X-Men #1 from May 1975, created by Len Wein and Dave Cockrum. Her origin is she was born Aurora Monroe in New York City. Her parents were a Kenyan tribal princess named Indare and an American photographer named David Monroe. When she was 6 months old, her family moved from New York to Cairo. And when she was 5 years old, still living in Cairo, a fighter jet crashed into her house during the Suez Crisis, killing both of her parents and trapping them beneath tons of rubble. She survived, but she was made an orphan from this, and then she developed severe claustrophobia from being trapped into this in this rubble. So after that, she just kind of wandered the street. She was an orphan, and she was taken in by this street lord named Ahmed Al-Gibar, if I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. And
That's
she
not
learned,
right, actually.
and she, oh, thank you. And she learned to become a skilled pickpocket. And she did that for years. Eventually, as she grew older, she made her way to the Serengeti. And that's when her mutant powers began to develop, where she developed her power over the weather. She was taken in by this witch priestess named Annette, who became a surrogate mother to her. And then she ended up being worshipped as a rain goddess by this African tribe. And that's where she was when Professor X came and found her and recruited her to be a member of his new team of X-Men. As far as her powers, she had... Oh, touchdown!
She
Sorry.
scored a Kenyan goal. She scored a Kenyan touchdown.
Another flag. Damn it. All right,
Oh.
sorry.
Gotta focus, Dan. Gotta focus.
Focus, Dan.
As far
Come
as
on,
her
Dan.
powers goes, she has the ability to control and manipulate the weather and other natural forces, and all the stuff that goes along with it. The lightning, the thunder, the wind, the rain, all of it, and is really is one of the most powerful X-Men characters that there is.
All right, very good. Thank you, Dan, for that and the touchdown.
And the penalty was on the Bengals, so the touchdown counts.
Ooh, nice. There you
All
go.
right. All right, there we go. All right, well, before we dive into this, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor. That is W Energy. So you want to head over to www.w.gg, and then you want to type in the word code-X and save 10% on that order. This is a good, clean energy drink, folks. There's no jitters, there's no bad aftertaste, there's no sugar crash. It's a good, clean energy drink, and all of us here at the Codex Station has tried it. Jamie's probably snorting some powder of it right now. We don't know, but probably he is. But we've all had it. We do enjoy it, and it's a good drink. So head on over there to w.gg and use the code-X and save 10%. All right. So for our first segment, we're going to go with scenarios that work best for this character. And Tim, I got you here listed first. So why don't you tell us what scenarios work best for her?
I think that is a no-brainer. If anybody knows Storm, yeah, exactly. If anybody knows Storm, I think she works best as a team leader. And that is very evident in her career as an X-Man and as a team leader. She led X-Men, the Gold Team, if I remember right, in the 90s.
Correct.
Previous to that, she became the de facto team leader after her and Cyclops had a confrontation. She defeated Callisto to become the leader of the Morlocks. She was Queen of Wakanda. The woman is a leader through and through, and she's a very good one. She's somebody that... even though she has to earn her teammates' trust as a leader, once she does, they will follow her into hell and back. And I think they have
and
before.
They have.
Yeah,
they have.
Exactly. She treats every member of her team as an equal, and similar to what Cyclops does, though I don't think she's as great of a tactician as he is. I think her passion and her energy allows her to disposition people where they're able to be used the most. Team leader through and through. That is the best thing that they can do with her.
All right, I will go ahead and chime in next, and I have to agree. I think team leader is her role. It's something that's defined by her. So yes, when she earns her teammates' trust, they do follow her to hell and back. I liked it when she was Queen of Wakanda as well. It just added another facet to her unique charm. Charm. I don't know how to say it, but she doesn't take any shit, and that's that's also another factor I love about her, and I just love it when she is in charge of a large team, not the one or two people. When she's in charge of like 5 to 8 of the team members and they're in a full-on battle, she is perfect for that role.
Yeah, oh yeah,
and that works for her. So Gary, what do you got for her on what works best?
All right, well, I'm going to differ from you all a lot, and I'm going to say that she is best as a team leader.
I knew it. You're going to go off the rails.
Yeah. I loved her when she was leading the Extreme X-Men team. I really loved that book.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
And I loved that team. Bishop, Cannonball, Wolverine was on that team. That was a really good team. But I really have enjoyed her arc where when they first brought her, from Kenya, she was sure of herself and her powers and her place in that society. But when she was brought to the X-Men, she was a person that wasn't at the forefront. She let the others lead. And I thought it was a great development of her character to have her come from this person that wasn't comfortable, at the forefront leading the team to a total team leader. And she leads, Cyclops, leads the team and is a dick. She leads the team with a lot of heart and with a lot of compassion for her fellow teammates. And there's a love there. I mean, that doesn't mean that she is not fierce. She is, when she fought Callisto to take over the Morlocks, that was out of love. She did that not to risk any of her teammates. She wanted to be a one-on-one fight where she put herself at risk. So when she
and I think like Wolverine or some of the others were itching to jump in and help her, and she was like, no, I do this alone or I don't do it at all.
That's right. And even more, I mean, I know we'll get into badass moments, but when she was depowered, she was still the shit. She was still, you didn't want to mess with her. So
that's right.
So team
her
leader,
powers do not define her.
No, her powers do not define. And the other thing is, way before she was Queen of Wakanda, she was regal. So
Yes. Right.
all right.
Very much so.
All right, Dan, what do you have for works best?
I mean, you're all wrong because she works best as a team leader. No, I
She
mean,
works best as a touchdown.
as long as it's for the Ravens.
There you go.
For me, Cyclops is still, always the number one X-Men leader, but she's
Okay.
like right below him. She's a great team leader, and like you said, when she led the main team, after he left, and then when she was leading the gold team, that's really, I feel like, her place. Because she is a strong leader, but she's very compassionate too, like Gary said, and I like early on too how they like you said too that they she had to find her place in the world outside of Kenya, and she had the attic room in the X mansion where she made the garden, and she could like fly out the window, and she had that relationship that she developed with Jean, and she had that really close relationship that she developed with Kitty, where it was almost like a mother-daughter type of thing where she would watch out for, because that was the whole thing that got her involved with them going down and getting into it with the Morlocks, was because of them, kidnapping Kitty. And she's had a lot of relationships over the years. To me personally, I always thought that the relationship of her and Black Panther was, to me, I just didn't really care for it. I thought it was a little just too obvious, to the point that it was almost kind of lazy. Like, of course they're both superheroes and they're both from Africa, so of course let's put them together. But she had a relationship with Forge, which is a really interesting love-hate relationship over the years. The one I like best with her, though, is the relationship she has with Wolverine. Where this, occasional, I guess, friends with benefits type thing, but you could see how much they care for each other. But they're also so opposite with the way that, with their backgrounds and the way they approach a fight and everything. But they still have that, mutual love and respect for each other. And, they touch on it every once in a while, but it's something that like I said, I like that as a relationship for both of them that I wish they would delve into more.
What are they touching every once in a while?
Touchdown.
Touchdown.
I don't even have anything.
There's an early, I think it was, I want to say it was, maybe 109 of X-Men. Wolverine said he was going hunting.
The tap.
And Storm was horrified at that. He said, I said hunting. I said nothing about killing.
Yeah.
I said,
anybody
when you can
kill.
Anybody could kill. When you can sneak up on a skittish doe close enough to touch her, that's what he was talking about. He wasn't trying to kill it, but I just thought that was an interesting, where she was admonishing him for killing, for going out killing, and he says, no, who said anything about killing? I'm talking about hunting, not killing.
Yeah.
So
and
I
she
thought that was
and she's like, oh, I apologize, and he's like, I don't care.
Yeah. I don't care.
that was when they introduced Vindicator, wasn't it?
So it was 109 then.
Yeah,
it was 109.
Right, because that's when Vindicator shows up to
The
bring
stuff
Wolverine
that
back.
comes out of here, the stuff that's locked in here.
So yeah,
I don't need any Wikipedia. It's in here.
Just need a little bit of.
It's a Wiki Gary.
There you go.
So I'm going to add one little point to that, because when she first came around, she was a very much, I want to say, naive type of character. Live and let live type situation, and
a little bit intimidated.
But she has morphed into a very powerful character now, and that transition, and it's all these little bits, like you said with Gary, with Wolverine and stuff like that. It's all these little, and the battle with Callisto. It's these little bit of transitions throughout the years that turned her into this powerful leader of a character. So all right. So for our next segment, we're going to go on to badass moments. And Gary, I'm going to give the spotlight to you, because I've got about 14 badass moments. So I'll go last. That way I can pick one that has not been used yet. So Gary, why don't you go first?
Okay. So give all three of mine. All right.
Yes. Don't say touchdown.
Winning touchdown.
That's my moment.
There you
Okay.
go.
I'm going to forego one because I'm sure somebody else is going to say it. So, I mean,
All right.
because I'm trying to get some variety.
Yeah.
In Uncanny X-Men 215 and 216, Storm does not have her powers at this point, and she is hunted down by a trio of vigilantes, and she beats their ass. She doesn't have any powers. They're
Right.
super powered, and she beats their ass. And I think 215 is this fantastic Barry Windsor Smith cover where
Yes.
she has, I guess it was the Crimson, whatever his name is. She's got him on the ground. She's got a knife right at him, getting ready to
Yeah.
put it in him. But
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Crimson Commando.
yeah, Crimson Commando. No powers, and she whoops their ass. So that
Yep.
again gets into how formidable she is. And so
Right.
I thought that was a badass moment.
And they all have powers too. It's Crimson Commando, Super Soldier, and Stonewall, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah,
That
because
sounds
they all
right.
have. They're all superpowers.
They all had powers, and she beat them by herself. An Uncanny X-Men 147.
Oh,
Dr. Doom.
you
Okay,
take
you know
it from
what?
me.
I'm
No,
not gonna use
go
that
ahead.
one.
Go ahead.
No. I'm not going to use it because I have another one I wanted to use,
All right.
and I don't know if anybody else would take it. So
All
this
right, go
isn't it. Somebody's
Go
going to have this too, but I'm going to leave that one for you.
All right.
You're hosting this show, God damn it! I'm going to give you something. I'm going to let you have a moment.
All right.
right.
Let me have a moment.
Uncanny X-Men 170 when Storm challenges Callisto to a knife fight. We're all going to say that anyway.
Oh
Yeah.
Like we've talked about. You know, she had the X-Men with her back, and they would have, they'd have beat the Morlocks, but it wasn't a cakewalk. It was going to be a tough fight. She didn't want to risk any of her people. She challenged Callisto, who was a tough broad in her own right, to a knife fight and beat her and won the respect of not only her teammates but of the Morlocks, who then acknowledged that she was their leader, and she won the respect of Callisto, who also followed up, with her debt of honor, followed up and acknowledged that Storm is the leader of the Morlocks now. So,
and what'd Storm do right after she won? She's like, Callisto,
So
you are
take 'em.
still in charge, but no, I am above you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was that. So the one, a lot of times when we do these badass moments, I like to pick out small little moments, like little human moments, like when Magneto got on those frat guys that hurt Danny Moonstar, right? And he read him the riot rack and had that great speech. But I like the little moments. This is a little moment. The X-Men have gotten their ass kicked by Magneto, and he has them. This is in X-Men 112 and 113, and at the end of 112, they've gotten their ass kicked. And Magneto has them under Antarctica and his base under Antarctica, and they are all in chairs and in collars. They can't move, and they have a robot nanny that's taking care of their needs, feeding them and whatever. But Magneto's got them imprisoned where they can't move, and Storm is using, because of her time as a thief, she is manipulated. She's pulled her headdress and put her headdress on top of, like, I guess, the desk she was at. And using her mouth, she has pulled one of the lockpicks out and is working on her restraints. And she drops the lockpick. And Nanny comes in and says, "Oh, my little poppet, you've dropped your headpiece." And she puts the headpiece back on her. And Storm's got to go through the whole. Here she's gone through such a hard ordeal to get to the point where she's loosened her headdress. She's got the lockpick out of her headdress, and she's able to do that. And now she's got to start all over again. And what is a devastating moment where you quit and you just can't do it anymore? The exertion that it's taken to do that. She doesn't quit, and she has to start all over again. Does it again in this excruciating fashion, and then it sets the stage for where she frees the X-Men, and Magneto comes back to his base, and they are all waiting for him. And again, Cyclops, being the great leader he is, that was probably his best tactical plan of attack he'd ever had. And he had them hitting Magneto in waves you know, in this one and that one and this one, and just had Magneto off balance and whooped his ass. So, but again, none of that happens if Storm doesn't have the fortitude and the determination and the perseverance to start that whole agonizing process after she's back at square one. And when when the robot nanny puts it back on her head, tears are coming down Storm's face because of the sheer utter disillusionment that it has to begin all over again. I mean, it's just, so to me, it's a small little moment, but I just think it's incredibly badass and shows the heart and the warrior spirit in that character.
All right. Very good. Awesome. All right, Dan, why don't you go ahead without a touchdown? Give us your badass moments.
Well, yeah, I also had where Storm fought Callisto and stabbed her in the heart and became leader of the Morlocks to save Kitty, and then was like, "I'm, you still run them." There's another one I can think of. It was from Uncanny X-Men 186. It was when she was in Forge's house, and she had lost her powers, and she was telling him about her past life, and about how even before she had her powers, she's like, "Oh yeah, as an orphan, I lived on the street. I was a really good pickpocket." And he was like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And she goes, "Here," and like holds up this little pad that he was using to control everything. He's like, "Well, how'd you get that?" And she's like, "I told you I was really good. I was a really good pickpocket." So just that little thing there to show like she had just lost her powers, and even in that depression, she's showing that she's still not helpless, even though she's as down as she could be. Another one
skills.
Another one I got was previously mentioned, though not as one of your moments, but in X-Men 201 when she was depowered, but she fought Cyclops for who was going to be the leader of the X-Men, and she beat him. That's pretty badass because it's not like Cyclops is a slouch.
Nope.
And then the last one I've got is from Marvel versus DC issue 3, when Storm was battling Wonder Woman, and she beat her by just blasting her with lightning bolt after lightning bolt after lightning bolt. And it wasn't so much that, all right, she beat her because of that, because as we all know, anytime anyone brings up something in comics like who would win in a fight, this character or this character, and it's the real answer is depends on who the writer wants to win.
Yeah.
Well, when they did the Marvel versus DC series, there were all the fights between Marvel and DC characters, but there were 5 of them that they let the fans vote on who was going to win the fight. And Wonder Woman versus Storm was one of them, and then it was also Superman, Hulk, Batman, Captain America, Spider-Man, and Superboy, and I forget who the 5th one was.
Was it Wolverine and Lobo?
Iron Man and
might have been Wolverine. What'd you say?
Iron Man and Green Lantern.
I don't think it was that one. It might have been Wolverine, Lobo, but anyway.
Either way, yeah.
Anyway, so Storm versus Wonder Woman was one of the 5 marquee matchups that they let fans vote on who's going to win. And you would think, well, they'll pick Wonder Woman because she's this iconic character that's been around for so long, and that. Nope, the fans voted, and they voted that Storm would win.
Wow.
So to me, that speaks volumes.
There was even a touching moment in that, because I remember that. I read up more on that because I was going to use that as well. It's one of on my list. But she actually feels sympathy or empathy for Wonder Woman as she's blasted her. She's like, "I'm sorry, sister," and she just lights her up. So it's a very empathic thing of her.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then after that, when they did the Amalgam universe, they combined the 2 of them.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, give us your badass moments.
Parroting pretty much what all 3 of you have said. The battle between Callisto and Storm, I think, is tops on the list, or pretty darn close. That is a major defining moment for the character. If you haven't read the issue, the cover is very iconic. It has Storm on one side, Callisto on the other, knives in between, and it is such an amazing comic book. That right there.
We'll see that later too.
Yeah, oh yeah. I remember in X-Men the animated series, they did a very good job bringing that in animated form, like pretty darn close.
Right.
And yeah, it's just a huge story. Uncanny X-Men 201, where she's fighting Cyclops for leadership of the team. That's amazing. Just about any issue where it's her centric that focuses on her, you get to see her in all her power and glory. But in an alternate universe, in Dark Ages, she, by sheer will alone, the abilities that she has, moved a helicarrier across oceans to save refugees. And when she was told to rest by T'Challa and told to take a break, you can only save so much. What did she say? She said, "No, I will save them all. And I will go back out there and I will fight Apocalypse." And she did. And it was amazing. That is, I think, one of my favorite modern badass moments for Storm.
All right.
Love
Very
it.
good.
Yeah.
All right. So, for my badass moments, I've got like 15, but I'm going to choose only 3. I'm going to parrot the battle with Callisto because it's a very epic moment in her character as she progressed, becoming more than just the naive rain goddess out of Africa. But one of the scenes that really sticks out, I remember in my head, is when they decide the battle and Callisto's like, "We're going to fight with knives," and she throws the knife to her, and she's just like, boom, like grabs it out of midair, like ready to fight. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty badass.
That's where you
Something.
realize Callisto underestimated her.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
She was probably dropping a few bricks in her pants right there, you know. And the actual fight, she does stab her through the heart, and they mentioned in the comic that if it weren't for Callisto's healing factor, or they had a healer there, that it would have been fatal. It would have been fatal. And like you said, all the other X-Men that had her back and was trying to get in, and Wolverine's like, "Hey, why don't you let me do it? Because I can kill. I have no problem killing. I could take care of this one like in 3 seconds." And she's like, "No, I will take care of it." That type of thing. So but that was an epic moment for her because I think it put her on the road to the character she is today. It really did. So my
Agreed.
next badass moment is from 147. Doctor Doom has encased her in a skin made of, like a chrome type of skin cover. Now she has claustrophobia, like we said before, and the X-Men are at Doctor Doom's castle. He's put them through all these tests for Arcade's pleasure or whatever it was, and I think it was Wolverine that notices. Oh, not notice. I don't not know. I'm sorry, not Wolverine. Doctor Doom notices that there's a storm brewing outside, and him and Wolverine get into the fight, and he's like, you got to release Storm now, or I'm gonna poke my claws through your faceplate. And he's like, oh, but he sees the storm going on. And he's like, okay, something's going on here. Yeah, I'll release Storm, okay. And he releases her, and she comes out, and she is just rage, pure rage when she comes out of there. I think the actual title of the book was called Rogue Storm, and she actually just starts really going bonkers, in this issue. Like she is ready to kill anything and anyone that comes across her path, and it is actually Colossus who talks her down, and he reminds her about Jean Grey, who fought her demons and lost. She has to fight her demons to win, and that kind of like brings her back down to a normal level, and she's able to calm herself down and still win the fight, but then let everybody know that I could have wiped up everybody with this. Go ahead, Dan.
Touchdown!
and Colossus, who was like a brother to her,
Yeah,
like a little brother.
Yep.
Right, like in the beginning, a lot of the X-Men were hitting on her and stuff, and
Yeah.
Colossus wanted no part of that.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So for my last, oh come on, I have 2 more. Can I go one extra? Let me
Yes,
go one
you
extra.
can.
Okay.
You're the host.
All of them that have not been mentioned yet.
Okay. So in Amazing X-Men number 2, she is she's in hell, right? And they went after to find their Nightcrawler. So they went into hell, and pretty much the story said that her powers do not work in hell. So effectively, she's powerless inside of hell. So she just like tears through these demons, right? And they there's some more coming, and she just picks up a mace from a demon that demon she's already killed. Picks up, she's like, send more demons if you got them. I finished with these, you know. So that was just a badass moment for me. And the last one I've got is in I think this was her first solo series. Was number 1. It was in 2014. She
That's not her first.
there's a
That was
it's not the first one.
that was the third one, I think.
Yeah.
volume
That was the
three.
third one.
Yeah, it was
I
volume
didn't
three.
write down what volume it was, but there's a tsunami coming in, and she is
Yeah,
holding
it's
off the
volume
tsunami
three.
with 3 individual tornadoes, and then she still
Wow.
has the time to acknowledge a child who recognizes her as the Queen of Wakanda, and still talk with her as she's doing this as well. So that in itself is just amazing to me.
Multitasking.
Yes.
Multitasking for sure.
That's why she's
All
a
right.
good leader.
Can I
Yes,
say too? I'm
indeed.
surprised that none of us, me included, that none of us mentioned when she basically became the new Thor.
True.
Yep.
Yeah, if she did.
When
She
she
did.
like had,
She lifted Mjolnir. Yep.
yeah, when
Yeah.
she had the hammer and
Yep. And she used that to destroy, I think, something else, like another. What's the story? How's the story go? She uses that power to destroy a fake Mjolnir that was controlling the situation to save the day or save Thor.
That was X-Men Annual 9. I
There it
believe.
is.
Ah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay.
Art Adams.
If we
art,
did-
too.
and no one brought up, and I have it here. No one brought up the one where she fights the Brood Queen that's implanted in Charles Xavier. Come on,
There's a
that's
cover
so cool.
dedicated to that.
There's a cover
Yep.
dedicated to that too as well.
There it is.
All right, so there you go. Yep,
there you
that's
go,
it.
Tim.
Oh, yep,
There you
right
go.
there. Perfect.
It
All
was
right.
hard for me to narrow down the covers to put in the spinner rack, so I have a whole other stack of Storm covers here that I didn't have room for all of them.
There's a lot of good storm covers out there, that's for sure.
Tone here says
Oh,
Storm
Tone.
is the sauce,
She's more than just the sauce. Tone, she's everything.
and that
Yep.
Storm literally snuffs out Vulcan.
Yep. She does. She did. All right, so let's go ahead and go to critiques. And Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off on that? Oh, I'm sorry. Turn the page on that. Don't kick us off.
My critique isn't so much with her character in the comics; it's in adaptation of her. One of the things that what I watched when I was younger was X-Men: The Animated Series. I absolutely hated Storm's character on there. I hated the way they portrayed her. She was so overly dramatic that she couldn't just use her
They were
power.
all dramatic.
I will use the power of the weather.
Blow away this evil. It was always some like weird little speech thing when she went to use her powers. It annoyed me so much. So as much as I liked the character in the comic, I just couldn't stand her in the animated series. And then she was just wasted in the live action series. She was just in the movie. She was just so underused.
There was
we're
so
not
much
even
they
gonna
could have done.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about the movies that she's been in because those have been.
But you had an Academy Award-winning actress playing this great character, and you're just going to give her, this.
Who had an accent that was dropped in the second movie.
Yep.
And you're just going to have her like give this stupid one-liner about what happens to toads when they get hit by lightning, and
Yeah, I know.
yeah, it was just a waste. But yeah, so that was my thank you, Tone.
Thank you, Tone.
That's
You're
my
the man.
criticism. Her overly dramatic representation in the animated series.
All right, Gary. How about you? What don't you like about her?
I'm gonna have to say the live action, how they just underutilized her, especially in the first X-Men movie. That she wasn't the focus, and I was gonna say that stupid line too. What happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning? Same thing happens to everything else. It's just so stupid.
I bet whoever wrote that thought they were being so clever.
And it was just stupid. Yeah. The best line in that was, "How do I know it's you? You're a dick." That was
Okay.
There
Yeah,
we
that
go.
was the best one.
And then when he had the
one.
claws and he put both of them down, had the middle one.
Yeah.
Well,
After it
what was
destroys
their
the
line where
metal detector.
they had the black leather outfits? And so I said, "What did you expect? Yellow spandex?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just how she's been depicted in live action, I haven't enjoyed it as much. I don't really have any complaints about her, how she's depicted on the comics page, because I think it's been a great evolution and a great arc, and I've got nothing negative.
Okay. How about you, Tim?
I think I agree, like with Dan and with Uncle Gary. Her portrayal on film, though the actress Halle Berry is effing amazing.
Yes.
She was even good in Catwoman, even though it was a terrible movie. Her portrayal of Storm was great, but she was incredibly underutilized. And let's not even talk about the portrayal of Storm in X-Men Apocalypse. Incredibly underutilized there too. They had the 80s look down really well, but I don't ever remember her being a Horseman of Apocalypse or anything like that. That's just nitpicking at that point, but it's really not, because it was terrible.
Oh, you mean when the X-Men fought Ivan Ooze?
Yeah, exactly. As far as the comics go, I think that when they do use her claustrophobia, they turn her into a bumbling mess, and I don't like that. That there's more to claustrophobia than drool and stammering your words and being scared of tight spaces. And I think that the way they do it is not necessarily the way it should be done. That's all I got.
Accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
Accurate to the phobia. Accurate to the
Yeah.
phobia.
Storm, if she's heavily claustrophobic, she is not going to go into a cave to fight Magneto. I'll tell you that right now.
Didn't they say that she's kind of gotten over the claustrophobia now? So
probably, but I know that was a major part of her character for a long time. That was the major disadvantage that she had, and it's still there from time to time. But when they do use it, I don't think they use it very well.
If you want to see a brutal way that they use it, I forget the issue number, but it was in the original What If series when it was what if, Jean was still Phoenix and she's, Dark Phoenix, and she's fighting the X-Men and she's like basically killing them all one way or another. And the way that she killed Storm was she just lifted this big chunk of ground, put Storm in the hole,
buried her alive,
and then just put the ground back on top of her, and buried her alive.
Wow.
Claustrophobia, like that was just brutal.
Wow.
Yeah, that was.
Well, there you go.
Okay. So for my critiques, I'm pretty much going to echo what you guys said. Tim, you brought up a very good point, and I had thought of this as well. I don't think they represent the claustrophobia correctly in Storm, but I think they did overutilize it in the beginning. They don't overutilize it now.
It was like every other issue she was terrified.
Right. And the only thing I don't like, and this is not about the character, but if she's not leading a large team, I feel like they don't do anything with her. They just push her to the side, or
like they don't know what to do with her.
Like they don't know what to do with her.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. She needs to be leading the team. She needs to be in charge. She needs to be front and center. And when she's not, it's like it's an afterthought. That's not right.
Yeah.
Not right. All right. So for our next segment, we got top covers.
Oh, my favorite.
And I'm going to kick this one off for top covers. So why don't you bring mine up, please?
You got it.
There we go. We got that X-Men 170 right there. The Battle of Callisto. Battle for the Morlocks. The leadership of the Morlocks. There you go. I can't even say that right. In the center, I've got, of course, the Alex Ross Timeless variant, because that's just I like the way Storm is drawn. She's elegant. So
that is one of the most gorgeous representations of her out.
Exactly. And then
I would have picked that one, but I knew you guys were. So.
That's why I didn't pick it, because somebody was going to get it.
Well, I had to. And then, of course, this is the first issue from her first solo series. But she is showing, you can see the power in her hands. You can see the lightning going around. And this is actually a foil cover. So the title's in foil, the lightning's in foil, and this was just a badass cover because it's showing the power she has at her hands.
90s foily goodness.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Dan.
I love the 90s foily goodness. So, all right, Tim, why don't you show us your covers?
Okay.
It was the 90s, man. If it was an issue 1, it had some kind of gimmick cover to get you to buy it.
Right.
And I did. And I did, because I owned that one.
Okay, so here are mine. Let's go with Uncanny X-Men 201. That is a classic cover
Yep.
with Storm in the forefront.
Yeah.
Fighting against Cyclops, if I remember right. Uncle
Yep,
Gary, she
yep.
is depowered at this
Yep.
time.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
is.
Depowered.
Exactly. And she
Yeah.
still won to lead the team. And let's not forget the Mohawk. The Mohawk is
Yeah.
amazing.
That
It
was
is
great.
wonderful.
The cover box with the question mark is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is it. There's so much buildup on the cover alone that
Mhm.
you just have to grab this issue, and
Yeah.
it's
Right.
wonderful.
Now,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you remember when she first showed the mohawk to Kitty? How Kitty just kind of freaked out on her because she had
Yeah.
changed so much. And it's like
What?
she's like, it's still me. I just
Yeah.
changed my hair. You know.
Yeah.
She is clad in leather, a sleeveless vest, a mohawk, and she is ready to take no shit.
Yeah.
He's gonna have the mohawk from the animated series when they bring it back, X-Men '97.
Right
Oh,
on.
nice. Very good.
Let's go with the center cover, Uncanny X-Men. I can't see the number. I think it's
290.
290. Yeah, 290.
I almost picked that one too, Tim. That's a great cover.
This
It is.
cover is a modern classic. This is Wiley Sportasio's cover. I know I say his name wrong every time, but I like the way I say it. And until he corrects me personally, I'm going to say it that way every time. But anyways, this cover is famous for a lot of reasons. Some of it being that the rain is not depicted as rain. You think about that however you guys want to. But with that being said, the cover is amazing. This is Storm in the 90s. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's in control of what's going on. She is up in the air. She is in wide open spaces, catching her breath. This cover says a lot. And when I was collecting in the 90s, this cover was a very prominent cover in my collection. I love this cover, and it was homaged years later in the modern sense again, and I think we'll see that with someone else's covers. But next, yep, there it is. Dan, nobody can see it. I can see it, but the next cover is Stanley Art Drew Malau's from Storm #1. That is a gorgeous cover in itself. And if you notice with her hair, it is twirling around like a vortex of clouds. Yeah. And I love that minor attention to detail, like all of that. The whole cover is working, and it's working very well. You've got a lot of modernness with Storm here. The representations from Wakanda, her African heritage, and the fact that she is in command of the weather. And that cover again says a ton.
Love the logo.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That was awesome. That's awesome. All right, Gary, why don't you show us your top covers?
All right.
There it is.
Look at that.
Yeah. So how about that? So I also was looking at a great Rain cover. This one actually is Rain and not Homelander standing above her. This is
Well, Gary, think about this for a second. The cover that I showed. Let me show that one more time before we go into this. The one in the center, it looks like she's taking a sigh of relief, right?
Yes.
Yep.
But if you go to yours, she's happy.
Yeah, she's very happy.
Yeah.
And if you anybody that is familiar with Greg Land's artwork and knows what he uses as photo reference for his art, especially for his women, it will give you an entirely new outlook on this cover.
That's
Did you say nude outlook? Nude outlook. Yeah. So I think that's a great cover. And listen, I think the expression on her face is phenomenal on this. That it's just unabashed joy.
Yep.
Just pure, unadulterated joy. So I love that Greg Land cover. The center cover is from her recent mini series.
And that is Bagley art, if I remember.
Yeah.
Right.
That's actually Alan Davis.
Alan Davis.
Oh, never mind.
Yep, that's Alan Davis. So I love that. It's got the classic Mohawk look and the leather. So I just thought that was a great cover by Davis. And then I mentioned this before. The last cover is Extreme X-Men. That's Salvador LaRocca, and because of Sal, I had to have a Salvador on here.
There you go.
So,
Well, thank you.
yeah, so I love that. I love look at the determination on her face. That's a gal that runs shit and ain't taking none.
She
So-
looks like she is ready to put an end to something that has irritated her long enough.
Yeah,
Yep.
she is not suffering fools gladly in that picture. So I just love it. I think she is just again regal and in charge
Yep.
in that picture. So
Yep.
yeah, so I love that. I love those are my three.
Her costume
Awesome,
there is a little
awesome.
reminiscent of the Carol Danvers.
Yeah,
Warbird.
Miss
Warbird.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Warbird. Yep. That's a good one. All right, Dan, your top covers.
All right.
And there they are.
Yeah.
Hey, look
okay,
at that.
only one repeat. Awesome.
Yeah. So so we'll start on the end. I got classic X-Men number 3. Those 86 Marvel portrait covers. Some of them weren't great. Some of them were. This was one of the best ones
Mm-hmm.
in it. It's a Art Adams cover, and I just think it is a gorgeous drawing of Storm. The classic costume she has. That's my favorite look of hers. That Dave Cockrum costume.
Yeah.
It's the headpiece that shouldn't work, but it
It does.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a fantastic portrait of her. And the middle one, like Tim had, the 290. This to me is my favorite of all the Storm covers. It's just, you know, her there, you know, the rain's hitting her, and she's just kind of relaxing, and you know, she's just like lost in the moment of it,
Yeah.
and it's beautifully drawn. And then the one on the end, the 223, it's Storm with a mohawk and a knife fighting a giant snake. I mean, it's just badass.
You can't
there's
go
nothing
wrong with that.
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
nothing wrong with
nope.
that.
You know, it's
I
like
think she was still depowered at that issue too.
yeah, she was. I think it's just it's
So
like
that lasted for a long time.
yeah,
It did.
Wow.
it's like if the X-Men starred in Anaconda.
Yeah.
All right,
my
awesome, awesome covers. All right, so for our next segment is going to be essential readings, but before we do that, have you guys clicked like, share, subscribe for the Codex Station? Have you done that yet? If you love this content, why haven't you clicked? Go ahead, check us out on the socials, click like, share, click subscribe, leave us a comment. We want to hear from you.
Yes.
What you like. You
Yeah,
know,
do it. Go do it now.
Is Cyclops your favorite? Do it. Put it on there. All right. All right, for essential readings, Tim, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with this one?
All right, essential readings. So let's go ahead and take a peek at this.
A peek.
We'll start at the bottom, guys. Uncanny X-Men number 186. We talked about this kind of at length earlier in the show. This is the issue with her and Forge. If I remember right, give me 1 second. Either way, the issue itself is a single issue, talks about her being depowered with Forge. There's a ton of stuff that's going on in there, and it's kind of like a finding herself type of moment. Also learning other things that took place, like between her and Forge and 2, but it builds a major part of her character and of her history. Barry Windsor Smith did the writing, did the artwork. It is absolutely gorgeous and one that I highly recommend. Let's see here, 186. I'm going to find it because I'm looking through right now just for the name of the story. It is called Life Death. Yeah, a love story, and it's wonderful. Moving upwards to the center, Uncanny X-Men 281 through 283. Even though that is a Bishop story, Storm is at the forefront of that, because when Bishop and the other two from the future come in, Storm is the one that confronts them. Storm is the one that talks to Bishop. Storm is the one that initiates the X-Men defending and eventually bringing Bishop into the fold. And 283 has her on the cover with Bishop standing her ground. and is absolutely amazing. One I highly recommend. And then on top is one of my all-time favorite X-Men issues, like Uncle Gary with your Genesis books. This is one of my Genesis books, Uncanny X-Men Annual number 11. It is a one-shot, and the villain dies at the end. Spoilers. But it's a book that you have to read, and Storm is the leader of the X-Men at this point in time. And basically, this guy, this mystical being, is searching for this crystal that he can't get to, and he's tried with other creatures and beings before, and they all die, and he knows they're going to, but he takes all of the X-Men, and that is Storm, Wolverine, Rogue, Psylocke before she became the Ninja Assassin, Captain Britain, who is there at the time, Kitty Pryde, I believe she's there too, and Longshot. I think I already said that. Either way, the issue is amazing, and you get to see Storm stand at insurmountable odds. One of my favorite scenes is the two warriors of the group, Storm and Wolverine. They both stand there. They both know what's going to happen, and they look at each other, and they just out of nowhere give this long, passionate kiss. And then Wolverine is like, all right, I'm going to go scout. See you later. And she leads the team inward. It's absolutely amazing. I love this book. A lot of people don't like it, but I fucking love it. And you should read it too.
All right.
Awesome. Awesome choices.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Dan, why don't you go ahead and give us your stories now?
He's listening to the football game.
Oh, yep.
No, I was fumbling with the phone actually. Yeah, so like Tim, I also had Life Death. I had parts 1 and 2 on it. So the first part's in Uncanny X-Men 186. The second part is in 198. There's no really action or anything that goes on in them. It's just very much a character-driven story. It takes place right after she lost her powers and she was taken in by Forge, and she's starting to develop a connection with him, and then she finds out that he's the reason that she lost her powers, and she finds out a lot of stuff about him and how he lost his leg and his hand in the war. And it's just it's a very good like I'm saying, it's a very good just character story. And then they followed up again in 198 with part 2, which was it was a second part to it that was different than the first part, but still the same kind of vein. It's her depowered and trying to find her way, and
same creative team too.
Yeah, same creative. Yeah, same creative team, and they're both very good stories to read. Where, like I said, you're not going to get a lot of action, but you're going to get a lot of character development.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got 145, which you guys have already talked about that too. With her and Dr. Doom, and how she is already talked about a lot. So she essentially saves the X-Men, and she just unleashes a fury on Doom. Makes this massive weather event, and then defeats him, and then later on it was revealed that it was a Doombot, but still it was badass. And then Sal mentioned it earlier, from 2014, the first issue of Storm, of her Volume 3 series, where she broke up the tsunami using the multiple hurricanes. Well, I just listed the whole series on here. I think it was 11 issues that it ran for. I can't remember the exact number. I want to say it was 11 or 13. It was an odd number, but it wasn't very long. And I just really enjoyed that series. It's her solo, but she it does still have some of the X-Men in it. Wolverine popped up for a little bit in issue 2, and you kind of got to see that relationship between them. It's her going off and doing her own thing, and I really liked how they used Beast in it too, where he was almost like tech support for her going out and having her own adventures. But it was good to see her in her own book, for the most part, away from the X-Men, and it's just a really entertaining read.
Yep, and that was 11 issues.
11 issues. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 11 or 13, but I knew it was right around there and that it was an odd number.
Very good. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump to mine now.
I'm getting it.
Get there.
There we go.
We go. All right, so the top one, Worlds Apart, 1 through 4. This was a good story with it's when she gets married to Black Panther, T'Challa, and she's now dealing with not only being queen, but she's also helping fellow mutants out and also dealing with a lot of stuff like that. And of course, there's the Shadow King that influences Black Panther as well. But it leads to this kind of opens the door to the conflict or to the ending of that marriage between Black Panther and Storm. But still, this was a good series to read because I thought the way the story progressed was really well done. So this is something to check out. Next, of course, we've all hit this one now several times, like beating a dead horse. So bam, 145 to 147, Rogue Storm. Yep, they went into to rescue Arcade, in fact, and this is what Doom traps him. And Dr. Doom is kind of like romancing Storm as well, and flirting with her like there's no tomorrow. Actually, I think I did a panel of that on the Comic Character Today page a while ago. But yep, I'm not going to say any more on that. But that's just a great story to read as well. And
so
then I've got
all of us mentioning it, this saying you really need to go out and read it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And for my last one, I have this is the one X-Men number 170, which I had the cover for. The story's called Dancing in the Dark, but I just feel like this was a pivotal moment in Storm's progression of a character to becoming really the definitive leader of a team and as a person. So this is something that you have to check out as well. And rounding it out, Gary, what you got for us?
All right. Let's see what I picked. See if I remember them. All right. So Aurora, before the storm, dealt with her early life and the death of her parents and her her survival as a street urchin on the streets of Cairo, and onto her onto how she ended up in Kenya. So I just think that's a essential reading to get the backstory of the character in a really nice I think it was 4 issues on that. So Aurora Before the Storm, again, Uncanny X-Men 186, and I probably should have put part 2 in there too, 198. That the Chris Claremont and Barry Windsor Smith story, the two of them together, it was just a heartbreaking love story. Yeah. And it was just dealing with this new love in her life and the loss of her powers, which happened at the same time, and there's a connection between them that is just heartbreaking. So just as Dan said, no superhero stuff happened in there, but it was character development issues that were just wonderful, just beautiful. Those are the kind of issues that raise this medium to an art form. So issues like that. And then also like Sal had just mentioned, X-Men Worlds Apart 1 through 4, where she's the Queen of Wakanda and she's dealing with that newfound responsibility. And it was just that was an epic story in scope and scale. And it showed how capable she was of doing things on a large scale, basically by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree.
So those are my 3.
Awesome stories. All right, jumping into the last segment of the evening, and
Sonny chimed in too. Said he also enjoyed Life Death.
Sono the writer.
Sono the writer. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Sonny.
Appreciate the input. All right, for our next segment is Best Artist and Writer. And
I think it's safe to say Claremont is.
I think he might be the winner here. But Gary, why don't you kick us off first and give us your best author and writer, artist? Excuse me.
Artist or writer? Okay. Which one? Both.
Give us both.
My best writer. There's this guy, a little known guy named Chris Claremont. Yeah, He's written a couple X-Men books, I think.
Just
and,
one or two, I think. He was just like
one
a
or two. Yeah.
ghostwriter.
Yeah, the character development, that he has had on this character and how he has brought her from kind of a one-dimensional elemental character to this fully rounded badass warrior goddess is pretty phenomenal. So Chris Claremont, without a doubt. My artist, I put a lot, this one wasn't so easy, but I go back to a book I really loved. It was Extreme X-Men, and Salvador LaRocca was doing the art, and I love it. And he's a Sal, so I'm trying to get points with my host here. So,
Yeah.
but Salvador
Doing good.
LaRocca, I'm gonna say with the art that I really like. But that's not to say there weren't many fine artists on Storm, and this was a tough decision.
Oh yeah.
But I'm gonna go with LaRocca.
All right, very good. All right, Dan, how about you?
Yeah, to echo Gary, just about any X-Men character that came over the span of about a 20-30 year period. If you're going to pick the best writer, Chris Claremont. He took these characters that were introduced in the one issue in Giant Size X-Men that for the most part didn't, and granted it was one issue too where you're introducing a bunch of characters, so it's not like Len Wein had a whole lot of room to expand on them, but he took all these characters that didn't really have a lot going on for them and and built them into full-fledged like living, breathing kind of characters. So and what he did with Storm and the progression of her character and her personality from where it was she started to where she is now was just fantastic. And it's not like it was something, he wrote X-Men for decades, so he had plenty of time to build this over time. So so I've got to go with Claremont for the writer. And for the artist, I initially was going to pick Dave Cockrum because he designed the character, and especially her original costume, which is still my favorite of all her costumes. And, Cockrum was a fantastic artist, but ultimately I did have to go with John Byrne.
Yeah, I was right. I was right there. And a side note with the Cockrum stuff, and I didn't know, Dan, you and I have talked about this. Those characters, had Cockrum not left DC to go to Marvel, Storm and Nightcrawler would have been in the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, and the one character, I forget what the character's name was that was in the Imperial Guard, who the costume was originally designed for Legion, that it was designed that was going to be a new Wolverine costume, and that's why they had Wolverine wear it.
Bang.
But it's not
Bang.
Bang. Yeah,
Bang.
Yep. And look at Storm's costume, how reminiscent it is of Saturn Girl's costume that he designed. And Nightcrawler's costume, like Chameleon Boy's, with the shoulders pads and all. So it's just interesting how it's one of those great what ifs, that he went to Marvel, and then those characters that were bound for the Legion end up in two of the most important X-Men characters, ever created. So,
and we are thankful for that
Yes,
this
indeed.
day.
Yeah, because it was going to be a team he developed. He called the Outsiders. That was going to be part of a Legion kind of spinoff, and DC said no thanks. And Marvel was like, "We'll take it."
Yep. All right, Tim, why don't you give us your song, guys?
We've said it in other episodes. We'll say it again. I'm parroting what Dan and Gary have said. Chris Claremont is the only choice that I can think of as best writer. There are other writers that have done a great job, but Claremont is the best, and there's a reason for that. I won't go into any more about that. I mean, if you want to hear more about Chris Claremont, check out Rewind 10 minutes, or check out any other episode where Claremont is mentioned,
or Baltimore Comic-Con.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Chris Claremont. As far as artwork goes, there are several that have done a great job. John Byrne's great. Salvatore that you chose, Uncle Gary, is wonderful too. I think Wiley Sportasio is a great choice, but I think for the modern era, or at least in the 90s when the X-Men were hotter than the sun, who else but Jim Lee? Jim Lee did a
Good choice.
beautiful
Yep.
job. Yeah, Jim Lee did a beautiful job on the X-Men in general and on Storm in particular. I'm looking at the cover of X-Men #1 with her cruising right to the center, and it looks amazing and wonderful and gorgeous. Yeah, Chris Claremont, Jim Lee, all the way. There
Can't
you
go wrong there. Great
Nope.
choice.
All right. No, can't go wrong at all. Well, you guys are completely off base. It's Chris Claremont for the writing, okay, and Jim Lee for the art.
I love it. Love it.
I can't say any more about that, folks. It's these guys have said it all. The story writing by Chris Claremont has been phenomenal for this character. Jim Lee's art, I kind of like the best. There's other ones like Paul Smith and of course John Byrne and stuff like that. They're very close. They're a very close second. You know what I'm saying? It's really a toss up or a toss of the coin to choose. But I did go with Jim Lee on that. So, all right, folks. I do believe this wraps up our episode. Good stories, good covers, good badass moments. We love this one. This is a great episode all around. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this one. Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. I am your host, Sal the Slab Guy, and when I'm not doing stuff on here on Codex Station, you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner and on your Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. Dan, why don't you go ahead and give us your quick info there?
Yeah, you can check me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. Post a few times a week, so go check it out. Give me a follow. Give me some likes. Let me know what you want to see, and yeah. Basically, that's it. That's
basically, that's it. Not much more to say.
No, not much more. Get a commission so that your money may become my money, so I can use it to buy more comic books and comic book related merchandise.
There you go.
There you go.
And then this cat beside me is getting ready to hold up a hat for a pretty cool store that he's going to tell you about right now.
If you want to buy comic related merchandise, you come right here, Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. We would love to have you. I'm a proud co-owner. You can catch me there every Wednesday, get my weekly fix. I'm getting injected right into that big vein, getting that 4-color ink and that comic goodness. Goes from here to here to here and stays in you and gives you superpowers forever. So come get those comics. Come talk to us. We would love to have you. Comic Logic, we also do a Facebook Live show the first 3 Thursdays of every month. The first Thursday is our preview show, and then the second and third Thursdays is our Ye Grumpy Old Nerd show, where we discuss comics, we discuss sports, we discuss things like a Thanksgiving draft of food that you want on your table for Thanksgiving. So we do all kinds of crazy, stupid old man stuff, and then we tell you to get off our lawn at the end of the show. So please come see us there. And we also want to always give a shout out here to our good buddy Archduke Kevy, who started the Comic Character of the Day site. And that is where we all met. That's how we all are tied to that site. I do a cover of the day under the name Oka Taylor, is my Facebook appellation. And Dan does a random panel of the day, question of the day. Sal is always commenting on our stuff. And Tim, who is above me here, Tim is always the watchful eyes. And then when he has something to say, he uses that golden voice of his to put his point across like no other. His is the voice of sanity, the voice of reason in these insane times.
No. Keep going.
He is the voice of sanity, of clarity. He is the voice that gets you home on those long journeys when you are driving late at night. He is the one I'm going to turn the radio dial to, and he's going to take us home as the last one here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sal, as always, you are a glorious host and a gracious host.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Amazing. Dan, your road managing skills are top notch. And Uncle Gary, your introductions are second to none. They are beautiful and amazing and wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, tuck your kids in tonight. Make sure to check under those beds. And if you see a storm cloud coming, just know that the goddess of thunder is there to water the grass and to give you a little bit of a song from nature to put you to sleep. Don't forget to find us on all the socials, ladies and gentlemen, at the Codex Station. That is where we will be, your favorite social media platforms, and where we're live streaming right now. All you got to do is hit the like, share, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss content like this all the time, every time. Also, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to find us on the codexstation.com for all your Codex needs. Head over there to get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. Let me just say that Dan's profile picture on the codexstation.com is the best.
It is.
And Wes Rebel Scums is right underneath that. So please go look at that and love it as much as I do. The codexstation.com, ladies and gentlemen. Sal, if you don't mind, I'll close it out and we'll be good to go for the rest of the night.
Go close it out, good sir.
All right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Comic Character of the Week. Our character of the week is Storm. My name is Tim. This guy over here is Sal the Slab Guy. Down below is the Ric Flair of comic books, Uncle Gary himself. And right next to him is the road manager, Dan the Kelly Art. We will see you next time.
Touchdown!
Shit.
Home run. Absolutely. Way to go. Good job.